I leap into Burt, who's in some sort of music game, getting a tutorial on how to play the piano, but Burt doesn't have the patience for learning and just bashes one out. The little maestro guy says, "You're a pianist," but that's absolute bullcrap, let's be honest. We play some other instruments and end up destroying Twinkle Twinkle Little Star by just messing about on the piano. He tells me I did a good job and asks me how it felt. Well, it felt like I made someone's ears bleed. Maestro tells me there's no one way to play a song, but there is definitely a wrong way to play it, isn't there? The little maestro asked me to jam with some of the other peeps, but Burt doesn't like them and refuses to play. When asked to rate his performance, Burt gives himself a maximum 100. Burt gets fed up with all the tutorials and decides to create a band. He wants to set the world on fire. Actually, that's a separate thing. They start to record their first record. Burt decides to cover the classic song Daydream Believer, complete with a 25-minute 2-note guitar solo. But Burt started to get annoyed with all the other members of the band and all their comments about how it's important that a song has a melody and how you actually need to keep timing and all this other stuff that Burt just really didn't understand or care about. So Burt started to kick them out one by one and re-recorded their parts of the song. Burt started with the drums and felt like some sort of Slipknot style drums would fit the song. Next up was the bass, and then Burt got messed up on drugs and recorded a ukulele part for some reason. After that, some more guitar, and then more drums, because why not, as it's just noise at this point. Everyone told Burt not to release the record, but because he got high as hell and created this album cover, he was all in. Here's an example of his music video. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, the album failed. Well, it didn't. In fact, it went to number 1. But that's mainly because Burt got a loan and bought 100,000 copies of the record himself. Not bad for a record that has a Guinness World Record for most amount of suicides attached to it. After the success of the first record, if you can call it that, Burt decided he would make his magnum opus, but he didn't know what that meant, so he decided just to make a second record instead. He knew there wasn't any other band members who could ruin his vision this time, so he went about trying to create something revolutionary, something artistic like Burt. Unfortunately, when recording the second record, he was doing a lot of drugs and into a lot of weird stuff. Burt's plan was to take all the best instruments and not play them. In fact, he just stood there, mainly because he was on enough drugs to kill Amy Winehouse again. The big song on the record was nothing but silence, except for one chord played near the end. Burt thought it was genius, but the record company were not so impressed, and they felt that things went too far when Burt was dressed up as a cat, a dog, and a cheerleader in the music video. We knew that things were not going well when the record company tried to gas us during live shows for insurance purposes. The record was released, but this time, Burt had run out of money, so he couldn't buy himself to number 1. All Burt could hope was that the record would speak for itself, that people would be able to recognise his vision. And they did, by recognising he had no vision whatsoever. And who isn't surprised with those tiny eyes of his? The record bombed and killed lots of people in the process. In fact, not even Burt's mum brought the album, but then again, she did try to abort him. I heard they ended up burying all the unsold copies in some sort of desert somewhere, and they'd have buried Burt there as well if they'd have found him. But Burt decided he would end it all by ending it all. And on that note, I leap out of here on to another game.
You weren't so weak.
Oh boy.